And thank you, Gordon and Sarah, for sort of slotting me in, particularly after such an impressive set of presentations. I will be quick. I just want to give an update about the HREC accreditation project. And before that, I wish to acknowledge the Turrbal and Yugara people, the First Nations owners of the land where I live and work, and pay my respect to their elders, laws, customs, and creation spirits. So I'm talking about a project to develop quality standards and accreditation schemes for human research ethics committees. I chair the ethics committee advisory group that you mentioned, but most of the work is done by Dr. Michael Swarbrick and Dr. Bernadette Aliprandi Costa of the Department of Health and Aged Care, who have very kindly supported me in providing me the basis of these slides. So this project is something that's been going on really for a long time. If you can all cast your mind back to the McKeon report, which I won't go into, and I can't remember the date. Gordon, you might be able to remember. But this made the point that it was important to minimise duplication of ethics review and to support mutual acceptance of ethics review if Australia was going to realise its potential in terms of clinical trials. So at that stage, it was clinical trials. The project that I'm now involved with is looking to develop these quality standards, as I said, and an accreditation scheme to go with it, which will enhance the consistency and efficiency of the ethics review process and build reciprocal confidence in HREC review. Now, progress to date has been going on for some considerable time, as you can see, and probably longer than it appears from this. The work, and some people might have actually participated in the consultation that was set up by the Australian Commission on Safety and Quality of Healthcare last year, and those consultations occurred to comment on the draft quality standards that were developed in March 2023 and then endorsed by the Clinical Trial Project Reference Group, which has the oversight of this project. So the targeted consultations were held in August, follow-up consultations with specific stakeholders, in particular Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander HRECs and groups, which were not well represented in the original consultation, followed in October through to January this year. Then the project was brought back under the auspices of the Department of Health and Aged Care, and above that, the Intergovernmental Policy Reform Group, which replaced the Clinical Trial Project Reference Group. I'm sorry about these acronyms. So the draft quality standards were originally developed with the National Mutual Acceptance Scheme in mind. They still, however, are pertinent. I see someone's raised their hand. Oh gosh, what have I done? Oh dear. Sorry, everyone. Right, I don't know what I've done. Can you see the slides? Yes, you can. Okay. So the standards, there are 3 standards: institutional governance and culture. So basically, what about the institution supports the HREC? Institutional operations, how the institution provides further support of the HRECs being developed and their terms of reference, things like that. And then the HREC standard and the HREC member standard. And those standards are supported by 8 associated actions, which are the suggestions to institutions and HRECs to demonstrate how the standards will be achieved. So it gives advice on the evidence that institutions and HRECs would need to provide to indicate that the standards are being met. And of course, they're all aligned with the National Statement on Ethical Conduct and Human Research. But the consultation standards were also built considering benchmarking of accreditation standards elsewhere in the world. So they're not just solely based on the national standard. There were 10 workshops in August last year, and as I said, that was followed by some further ones in November through to January. There were 124 attendees, and after each workshop, there was a consultation survey sent out, trying to sort of pin down further issues and to gain further responses from the attendees. And there were 65 respondents to those. The part that I find and did find most interesting from the workshops was the features of high quality ethics review and the features of high quality HRECs. And of course, we've had reference to that really all day and yesterday when Colin mentioned how important it is to have reference to the national statement when requesting amendments and making decisions about research. But also other things like adequate discussion of the relevant issues. And of course, that's can be quite nuanced. What do we mean by that? Other things like the scientific review being highly relevant to the application with the appropriate detail contained. And the features of high quality HRECs, that an HREC isn't hidebound to just approving everything or rejecting everything, but has a full range of decisions which it applies. And also putting up its hand to say that we do not have the expertise for a particular application and it needs to go elsewhere. So the consultation report was presented to the Intergovernmental Policy Reform Group. There was a good deal of discussion about it. And there was a decision. Sorry, oh dear, I've done it again. There was a decision to broaden the scope of the project. Sorry, I'm having a lot of trouble with my screen. And that decision I'm very keen on, because I felt that it should never have been limited to the National Mutual Acceptance Scheme. I thought that restricted it too much, and much of the consultation, or not much of the consultation, but many of the consultation remarks actually said, we're not quite sure what's in it for us, considering that the NMA scheme really only covered about 40 HRECs and their institutions. So I'm pleased to say that the scope of the project has now been expanded to relate to all HRECs, regardless of whether they review single site or multi-site research, and regardless of whether they're involved with the National Mutual Acceptance Scheme that we currently have. And that therefore opens it up to all sorts of other research sectors. So the aim is now to develop quality standards in a single national accreditation scheme for all HRECs, which review health and medical research in Australia and their host institutions. The next step early next year is for further consultation, and that consultation will have a broad scope, basically to engage the public generally. My question again has always been, what do we mean by the public? And I think over the last couple of days, we've seen some very good demonstrations of what that should mean. It should be broadly available, the consultations, to anybody who might be interested in research, who might be involved in research. So I'm hoping that we will get that input. And there will be information sharing about what it is we're doing, what the quality standards are, why they're proposed, and that it will apply to all HRECs. And of course, that feedback will then go into the refinement of the final standards. So it's planned, these consultations are planned for early next year. There is a communication plan, and that is being refined, I think, as we speak. The first draft of the consultation report following that further consultation will be sort of by mid next year, after which there will be development and piloting of an accreditation scheme towards the end of 25. Okay, I think that's all. I'm going to say, I hope I rushed through it in not too much time. If you're interested in being part of that consultation, can I urge you to contact Michael Swarbrick? I'm very happy to answer any questions as well. I've given my email there. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Conor. I'm not sure how many questions there are. Gary says thanks for the update. But look, I think we're all very keen to see what the standards look like. Michael did point out that he believes they've changed a bit since the initial draft. So I look forward to seeing them, because I think we would all wish to engender quality, but have a focus on quality rather than compliance. And this is always potentially where these things can fall down. So I will, please feel free to comment on that one if you want to.
Look, I agree with the quality up point. Excuse me. Sorry, I'll just take a sip. The quality point is really important, and I think it's not just about documents. It's about what does the discussion look like? Sorry, I've got very excited.
That's okay. That's okay. Now, David has a question for you. I've just got to try and unmute him, if I can do that. Right, give me a second, DC. David, I'm not sure if you can type it quickly, David, but or I'll just try and unmute you.
Hear me, Gordon?
Yes, David, you're there. Yeah, of course, David. Fire away.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Conor. I was really interested in your criteria for a high quality HREC, and I'd really love to suggest that you consider also including openness to feedback after they've made their decision.
Yep.
I deal with one HREC which is not open at all. And from my own experience in my HREC, I know that feedback afterwards is enormously useful.
I'd agree with you completely. Those examples were not all of the discussion that was had. So, for example, things that cropped up earlier today, like, and in fact, David, you might have said it, come to think of it, about meeting with people before they actually go to the lengths of submitting.
Yes.
And then meeting afterwards, trying, not just relying on the written word. And of course, the problem, the problem with any accreditation scheme where you rely so heavily on documents is that you're relying on the written word, but you will get far more nuanced responses and far more nuanced idea if you can actually have a discussion about what ethics review looks like.
Yes, Conor, you're absolutely right. But of course, as a member of, or deputy chair or chair of whatever I am of National Mutual Acceptance Scheme, HREC, I regularly get emails from people saying, "Are you mad? Why did you approve this?" And it's really useful to talk to them, because sometimes you realize you're wrong.
Great. Yeah.
Good to know that. Good to know all ethics committee chairs can be wrong, David. And importantly, I feel it's about getting it right, not being right, and that's always the most important maxim. Conor, I think we might just stop there because it's now gone way over time.